Do you seriously trust your bank? Good evening, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Silver Dad Knows. Remember, always live with no edits. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button now, as you're going to like what I'm about to say. So yes, folks, just to begin this evening, I am presenting to you right here an incredibly rare James Madison piece. And I do want to note, this is, to be exact, James Madison U.S. Constitution 200th anniversary round, 1 troy ounce, 0.999 silver. James Madison, known as the father of the Constitution, was instrumental in drafting the document during the Constitutional Convention of 1787, ensuring a strong framework for federal governance while balancing state and individual rights. Madison's Virginia Plan, the Virginia Plan became the blueprint for the Constitution, introducing key principles like separation of powers and checks and balances. He co-authored the Federalist Papers, advocating for the Constitution's ratification. Madison championed the Bill of Rights, safeguarding individual freedoms. His vision and dedication cemented his legacy as a central architect of American democracy. And he was actually the first president that I ever had to do a project on. And I can remember that to this day. This is a project that I did about 23 years ago, to be exact. And yes, I mean, fun facts, he loved ice cream. And I mean, you look back, what the heck, there was ice cream back then? Yes, there was. And this gentleman ate a lot of it. Of course, wealthy individual, and you had to be wealthy back then to have such delicacies. But James Madison, again, a hero for America, somebody who truly is one of the main people who's responsible for the immense success and privilege this country has faced. And of course, not just faced, but continuously had. But super cool piece, very rare piece, as I said. I've only stumbled on it once. Since then, I have not been able to find it again, unless I search very specifically. You're not going to see this coin, unless you search specifically. You're not going to find this piece. Very rare, and I'm very thankful to own it. And real quick, folks, before I continue, I want to give a quick shout out, and this is to Jack Tregelis, 4355. I bought silver bars that are not art bars or hard to sell because I wanted to keep them, and sold them after the value doubled to pay down debt loans, saving me the interest rates attached to the loans. I continue to stack for the same reason, and I'm almost debt free. I also have a deep stack of collectibles and cool bullion that will pay for my final expenses and give me some to my loved ones after I go to heaven. Praise God and Jesus Christ. Thanks for the videos. Silver Dad Knows. Awesome comment right there coming from Jack Tregelis, 4355. And I love your system. I love your philosophy. You're buying silver here and there. You're stacking it. Then when the price goes up exponentially, you pay off debt. You keep some. You repeat the process again. And yes, I mean, it's a win-win all over the place, because the silver that you do leave behind goes to your loved ones. So beautiful system and philosophy you have in place. I'm doing something very similar. Of course, I take my profits, and of course, I'm continuously investing in the metal itself. I will take profits, but ultimately, I'm stacking my silver for the long term, and not just for myself, but for my legacy, for my children, for my grandchildren, possibly my great-grandchildren. Because, folks, for too long, banks have been seen as safe haven assets for storing wealth. But in today's financial environment of historically low interest rates and blunt inflation, the money in your bank account is loudly losing purchasing power. For so long, it was quietly losing purchasing power. Hey, what the heck's going on? Now it's obvious. Now we know why we're losing purchasing power by the day. Meanwhile, silver, a tangible, finite asset, has a centuries-long track record of preserving and growing wealth. I mean, longer than centuries-long track record. Thousands of years track record of preserving and growing wealth, especially during times of economic uncertainty. Let's compare both vehicles side by side and break down why silver will outperform your bank account in the years ahead. First and foremost, let's look at inflation. The average U.S. savings account offers an interest rate of less than 1%. It's embarrassing. I think, to my understanding, it's even less than 0.5%. It's even less than that. I mean, it's like a 0.00 something percent. I mean, it is just full-blown offensive. But yes, I mean, interest rates of less than 1%, while inflation over the last few years has ranged from 5% to over 10% annually, and many will argue up to 15%. That means, and we all know this, your backed dollars are losing value every single year. Silver, however, tends to rise in value when inflation increases. During the 1970s, silver skyrocketed from under $2 to nearly $50 an ounce. Even more recently, during the stimulus wave and supply chain chaos of 2020 to 2021, silver surged from $13 to over $28 in under a year. I remember when that happened. I mean, I was like, holy moly. Second, banks themselves are not immune to crisis. The collapse of regional banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank in 2023 served as a loud warning that even insured bank accounts can be frozen or restricted during financial panics. That's why it's like, oh, they're insured. I don't think anything is to the fullest extent. In contrast, silver held in your possession is immune to bank failures, cyber attacks, or institutional corruption. It's not an IOU or a digital promise. It's yours. And that's what they're afraid of. That's what they hate. Third, silver has real-world demand that continues to increase. It continues to rise. It's essential in solar panels, essential in electric vehicles, electronics across the board, medical technology, and consumer electronics, ultimately. As the world moves toward electrification and clean energy, demand for silver is, it's obvious. It's expected to rise tremendously, while new mining output remains limited. This industrial demand acts as a long-term tailwind that your bank account simply cannot match. Fourth, central banks and governments, they can't print silver. With fiat currencies being inflated by debt and stimulus policies, precious metals stand apart as scarce assets. Silver, much like gold, historically performs well when faith in currency and institutions erodes. And in a world with 300 plus trillion in global debt, and I'm saying that lightly, 300 plus trillion in global debt, that trend is accelerating. As we say, common sense is not so common. Finally, silver offers you control. It's portable, private, and real. Your bank balance may say $10,000, but in an emergency or a currency crisis, the number will become meaningless. With silver, you hold an asset that has been real money for thousands of years and will still have value no matter what happens in the digital or financial world. In the end, while your bank account quietly bleeds purchasing power, blatantly bleeds purchasing power, obviously bleeds purchasing power, silver stands as a hedge, as a store of value. and a wealth preserver. History, math, and market forces all say the same thing. Silver will outperform your bank account. The proof is in the price charts, the inflation data, and the failures of modern banking. But folks, as always, thank you so much for joining us for another evening of Silver Dad Knows. God bless you, God bless your household, and God bless America.